Hello everyone, welcome to the May 2017 SMF Soap Challenge, the Fluid Acrylic Cell Pour. I'm your host, Casey Haystack. So to start off with, I'm showing you the platform that I'm going to use to pour my cells on, and then I'm going to show you my slab mold that I'm going to use to make the soap. In hindsight, I should have used a cookie sheet and C-popped my cells because it took a long time for them to firm up enough for me to remove them. So that is that's a suggestion I'd make to you. I'm also using two different cameras here so I can get better angles. So here I'm going through the colors I'm going to use for my cells, which is black, platinum gray, shimmer gold, some titanium dioxide, and then the fragrance oil I'm going to use. Now you can see here after I've mixed my batter, I'm pouring off just small amounts of that into some cups because I don't need a whole lot to make my cells. And here I'm mixing in my fragrance oil to what's left of the batter. I'm going to put that into the bottom of my slab mold to form the base. Now, because it took so long for my cells to firm up, I ended up not using that base, and I'll explain more about that in a minute. So here, I've got my cups with my colors mixed in, and I'm checking their consistency. They need to be fairly fluid, but not super fluid. So you want them to be just more than emulsified. Here, I'm pouring the different colors on top of my base color. You need to pour slowly so that it suspends itself on top of the color, and then you're going to pour out little round cells onto your flat surface. And once some of your other colors start running out, then you'll stop and add more. And here's the same pours from a different direction. So once these set up and harden, they'll be used as embeds, really, in the top of a soap design on top of that base that we poured. This is a common art technique in fluid acrylic pouring. You can look at YouTube and see more about that. So here I'm just pouring a bunch. Even the small amount of soap that I saved created way more of these embeds than I needed. So I will have plenty to be able to do this technique several times if I need to. So like I said, I would suggest putting these on some kind of cookie sheet or oven safe board. Of course, line it with a piece of freezer paper or parchment paper or whatever, and C-pop these so that they will set up fast enough, and you can remove them from the paper. So yeah, here's all my cells. And then here, it took so long for them to set up. I was worried that my base wouldn't be fresh enough and wouldn't adhere very well. So I tried to set up another base. Unfortunately, my fragrance oil riced and accelerated, and so what I'm doing here is, if you can see the rough top on that, is I just make some white base and pour it on top to give me an even field. So here I've mixed up some red, orange, and yellow mica, and those are still fairly fluid. I've tilted my slab mold, and I'm pouring bands of that color back and forth. Then I take the wedge out from under it and swirl it around a little bit to create a nice swirl on top. And then I go through and I choose different sized cells and float them on top of the thin layer of color. And here I'm using a skewer to maneuver those around and get them in place. And then here's the same view from a different angle. Like I said, that's nurtures really red, nurtures orange vibrance, and nurtures yellow vibrance. This would make a really cool soap top if you just did just this and swirled it around. You see, it makes a really interesting design on top. So, as you can see there, I have tons of these cells. So I will definitely be doing this again with like maybe some other colors. And the little star embeds you see in that same thing I used in a different project that I'll have pictures up on the forum soon. So this was inspired by a soap maker on YouTube that I saw, and I will add links to her YouTube page. She's got a bunch of different techniques that she does like this, and they're all really fascinating and really beautiful. So here I am. I've unmolded the soap and I'm cutting it. I use my bench scraper and just I've measured out with a ruler and put tick marks to show me where to cut. I'm not great at doing it this way, so my bars all came out just a little bit uneven, but they weren't that bad. But I was really impressed with the way this turned out. I'll have pictures of some of the bars that I've got cleaned up. And thank you for watching, and sign up on the forum.